Are you feeling a bit separated from human connection? Are you at a loss for words to describe complicated feelings? Do you feel like slowing down is impossible and yet your only option? Yeah, me too. And even though I, like most Americans, don't read poetry very often, right now, it could really help us all. Let's check it out. Hi there, I'm Michelle with the Goffstown Public Library, where I'm an adult services librarian. My job is to bring information that you want or need to you when you want or need it. And even though I'm not physically in the library today, I hope I can do just that, which is why I'm coming to you for the third episode of Book Talk with Michelle. I'm looking forward to talking to you about poetry today. If you're watching this video, you're probably a reader, but chances are you're not an active poetry reader. And it's pretty likely, considering only 12% of American adults say they read even one poem last year. So every April, as part of National Poetry Month, the Goffstown Public Library has asked you to read poetry. And I was planning on doing that before the novel coronavirus swept the globe. I still want you to read poetry, so in that way, coronavirus hasn't changed anything. But it's not for the same reasons. I was going to tell you to read poetry because it'll increase the checkout numbers of a little-used library collection. I was going to tell you to read poetry because it's the good stuff, the literature. But now that's not why I'm going to tell you to read poetry. You should read poetry because we need poems. Poems give us strength and courage. They give us the right words when none others come. They speak in a language that transcends the rational, the part of my brain that's still reeling in the wake of a pandemic. Poems intimately connect one voice with another when we're otherwise apart, like a conversation between two souls. Poems uplift, poems comfort, and poems ask us to slow down, to be with our feelings in the present, and to breathe. Under normal circumstances, you might not read poetry, but this is far from normal. And in my opinion, the things that make poetry special are the things our communities need right now. So while the world shelters in place, you can find your shelter in poems. For newcomers to poetry, a great way to learn about many poets and sample a variety of what's out there is to read collections edited around a certain topic. Topics can be anything, like autumn, cats, heartbreak. You name it, it's out there. For a good starter collection, I recommend Good Poems, selected and introduced by Garrison Keillor. Although 2018 allegations have complicated Keillor's legacy, he's pretty well known for his NPR programs, including The Writer's Almanac, where he shared 1 or 2 poems a day with listeners. Good Poems is a collection of poetry selected from those much-beloved daily poems. Topics within the collection include a day, lovers, music, and many more. It's a well-curated collection, including the best of modern and classic verse. Good Poems is like a poetry primer, a poetry 101 course, if you will. There's so many ruminations on life and meaning that I'm constantly finding more to marvel at in this book. It's got a poem for every feeling and occasion. Even though I don't own many books, maybe 15, I count this volume among them. I love to have it out on the coffee table to flip through often. You can get a taste of it with the audiobook available on Hoopla. Another way to read poetry is to seek out volumes by one poet. The first volume of poetry that I ever read was Billy Collins's Aimless Love. Collins was the U.S. Poet Laureate from 2001 to 2003, and he's earned the reputation as the most popular poet in America from the New York Times. It's easy to see why if you spend a couple of minutes with his poetry. The often quirky poems are accessible, something that not all poetry is. It's never predictable. No, you'll often be surprised where a Collins poem ends up, but you're never going to be lost in it along the way. What I find great about his poems is the luxurious commonness of it all. You'll see your world in these poems. Plus, he's got a great sense of humor. You can read Collins's collections on Overdrive or Cloud Library, and I recommend starting with Aimless Love, just like I did. Another great poet to get you started on your poetry journey is Mary Oliver. Oliver's work was profoundly influenced by the natural beauty of her home in Provincetown, Massachusetts. She's best known for writing about the small and powerful parts of nature that most of us miss in our hectic lives. Her gifts of observation as a naturalist are impressive, and her gifts for describing what she saw in accessible verse, wow, it's sure to move you. When I read Mary Oliver, I'm always struck by how she can fill me with wonder and amazement at the smallest things. One hummingbird, one turtle, one stream becomes the basis of a grand drama that you can't help but be awed by. I recommend Mary Oliver if you're looking to slow your life down, or if you want to find the majesty in a tumultuous world. You can find many of her collections on Cloud Library and Hoopla. I can say with confidence that any one you choose will be wonderful. If you're looking for a poetry collection rooted in the current moment, let me suggest Trista Aphrodite Made Me Do It. I like this book because from the first page to the last, it has a plot, but each poem could stand on its own. Additionally, the inclusions of drawings and illustrations really elevated this work for me. Taken together, the collection offers a radical approach to self-care in a sometimes cruel world. There were times when I was reading it that I felt like the poetry knew things about me before I'd even thought them for myself. And this book was definitely geared towards women, but there is a kind of truth that anyone could find themselves in. The kind of truth that's cathartic. This book offers strength and courage when life gets hard. And if that's what you need, you can find it as an ebook on Hoopla. Thanks for watching. Today we talked about how poetry can fill a particular need in times of distress, and I recommended 4 collections to get you started. Who's your favorite poet? What's your favorite poem? Let us know in those comments. I'm really excited to hear what you come up with, and I know our audience will appreciate the recommendations. All the titles I mentioned today are listed in the description, along with information about the Goffstown Public Library's digital resources. All you need is your library card to start accessing some awesome digital content. Like and share this video if you got something out of it. And don't forget to subscribe for great content like book talks for all ages, story times, how-tos, and more. I'll see you back here next Saturday for another episode of Book Talk with Michelle. In the meantime, connect with the Goffstown Public Library on social media for more book recommendations. Or visit goffstownlibrary.com and see what's in the catalog yourself. Before I leave you today, I want to share a poem with you that's given me strength during times of trouble. That poem is Sometimes by Sheena Poo. Sometimes things don't go, after all, from bad to worse. Some years, muscadel faces down frost. Green thrives. The crops don't fail. Sometimes a man aims high and all goes well. A people sometimes will step back from war, elect an honest man, decide they care enough that they can't leave some stranger poor. Some men become what they are born for. Sometimes our best efforts do not go amiss. Sometimes we do as we meant to. The sun will sometimes melt a field of sorrow that seemed hard frozen. May it happen to you. Again, I'm Michelle with the Goffstown Public Library, and I'll check you out later. Bye!